Hey, this is Teddy Burriss, your LinkedIn and Sales Navigator strategist, trainer, and coach. And I've got 10 questions queued up that came from Quora that I'm going to answer in this video series. So I'm going to put all 10 answers in one video, but in the description of the video, I'll give you the table of contents so you can go to each question directly so you don't have to listen to the whole video unless you want to. So let's get started. Question number 1. How do I find my own resume on LinkedIn? Now, LinkedIn's not a resume site. If you want to discover your own LinkedIn profile, which to some might be considered a resume, just simply go to LinkedIn, log in as linkedin.com, click on me, and click on View Profile. And there is your LinkedIn profile, maybe your resume. Now, if you want to see it without being logged into LinkedIn, then what you would do is this. Go to linkedin.com. And in linkedin.com, you can discover people, and you can type in Teddy and last name Burriss. And there's my profile or resume. And by the way, when you look at someone's profile or resume, that you can only do this a certain amount of times. You hit before LinkedIn's going to say, hey, we really want you to sign in because they want you to become a member. But I can do a search right here pretty regularly for a little while at least, and I can find lots of interesting people, and I can go look at Randy Wooden. And there's his profile, and I can see as much of his LinkedIn profile as he allows me to see without signing in to LinkedIn. In summary, log into LinkedIn, click on me, click on View Profile, or go to linkedin.com and do a search for people and type in your name. Here's the next question. Why does LinkedIn limit your connections and Facebook limit your friends? Why? Let me just speak to LinkedIn. I don't want to speak to Facebook, but really LinkedIn lets you connect with up to 30,000 people. That is a huge list of LinkedIn connections. That is a really big bucket of connections. It is very unlikely that you will be able to develop any type of professional relationship one-on-one with 30,000 people. Now, LinkedIn also allows you to turn on follower mode so you can create followers. So then you have a group of people who discover you, who say they want to follow you, and when they follow you, they have an opportunity to see your content, see your engagement, see your activity on LinkedIn. Why does LinkedIn and Facebook limit the number of connections you make? Mostly because if they would allow you to connect with any and everyone, you would find more and more scammers, data scrapers, and fake profiles jumping on the platforms just to connect, to be able to scrape data, scrape email addresses, phone numbers, and any content that they want to scrape off the system. By limiting it, you limit the opportunity for these people to scrape too much data and make it harder on them. I think that the opportunity to connect with up to 30,000 people on LinkedIn, if you're using LinkedIn as a business networking tool, that's a pretty big number. And additionally, on Facebook, I think the number is a couple thousand. I'm not sure exact number. However, that's a huge number of friends if you're going to use Facebook in the context that they created it, and that is to build your Facebook connections with friends. So here's the next question. How can I hide my LinkedIn profile from my company and colleagues? Now, I'm guessing that what you're referring to here is how can you hide your LinkedIn profile from the people you work for or work with? There really is no way to do that. If you're using LinkedIn for the purposes that are relevant to your business, then there's really no reason why you would want to hide your LinkedIn profile from the people you work with, because they're relevant to what you do. However, if you're using LinkedIn for a different purpose, Maybe your daytime job is not as important to you on LinkedIn, and maybe there's a side hustle that you're doing. And if you have a side hustle going on, you're using LinkedIn to build a whole other business, then maybe you're going to have a challenge if your current employer and teammates, colleagues see that you're building this whole other business. And that's a challenge. That's a real challenge. It's a real challenge in life, well, let alone with LinkedIn. I mean, they may find your website. They may find you on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So you've got to look at what you're doing on LinkedIn, and if what you're doing is contradictory or not supportive of what what they think you should be doing, and for the sake of the company that you work for, then you're going to run into a problem. There's no way around that. The only thing you could do is go start blocking people and hope you block all of them, and hope that somebody else you didn't block doesn't tell somebody that you did block what you're doing on LinkedIn. It's a challenge in life. If you're working a side hustle and you don't want people to know you're working a side hustle, then you've got to figure out how to work through that. And it's way more than just blocking people or blocking companies on LinkedIn, which, by the way, you can't block a company and you can't block everybody who works for a company with one click. You got to block an individual at a time. I don't have an answer for you other than really think through what you're doing on LinkedIn, and is there a way that you can be building your side hustle without building your presence all around that side hustle, building your content all around that side hustle. You might be able to build your network around it as long as you're also building it in the context of your company. But there's no way to hide your profile or hide your activity on a site that is 100% public. This is one I get asked all the time. Unfortunately, I have no real easy answers to this. My LinkedIn account's been restricted for the second time. How do I open it back up? Well, unless you know why your account's restricted, and unless you have an ongoing conversation with LinkedIn support in context to why it's restricted, you're not going to be able to open it back up. You may be able to create another account. However, the algorithms on LinkedIn are pretty clear. If they see your name again in your city with that IP address, with maybe that company, et cetera, if they see that email address pop up, they're going to immediately shut it down. You have to go back and find out why it's restricted, and you have to acknowledge that what you did was inappropriate, or what they perceive you did was inappropriate, and you have to ask LinkedIn support to forgive you, to let you get back on it and never go anywhere near that mistake again. Is that easy to do? No. Does it take time to do? Yes. Do you have to be respectful and empathetic to LinkedIn support to get them to help you? Absolutely. Unfortunately, if your account's been restricted for a second time, it's very likely that what you're doing, or they perceive that you are doing, is totally inappropriate, and they're not going to let your account be opened again. The algorithms are set up to pay attention to your name, your IP address, your company, your email address, your phone number, et cetera, and to probably shut you down a third time. I don't have a really good answer other than go back to LinkedIn support and ask for assistance. And if you're using LinkedIn appropriately, I wish you all the best. If you're using LinkedIn inappropriately, I don't want you back on LinkedIn. Now here's the next big question. Why can't I see the media I added to my experience and featured section when I view my profile as public? By the way, I can't see them. I can see them when I view it using a different member's login. Is it the way how it's made? So let's go look at, here's my LinkedIn profile. Actually, let's go look at Randy, see if Randy has any. He does. So I look at Randy's profile and I can see he has some rich media here under his experience section. So if I go to incognito and I go to linkedin.com and I look for people and I look for Randy Wooden, hit enter. Here he is right here. If I scroll down to his experience section, show more, under this experience section, there's no rich media. I'm pretty sure it's under this position. Let me go back and look again. It's under Director Professional Center. Go back. And Director Professional Center, I can't see it. It is how the system is designed. System is designed to minimize people who are not logged into LinkedIn from seeing your entire LinkedIn profile. Why is that the case? Because LinkedIn is encouraging people to create accounts on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn while they're logged into it. So that's the bottom line answer, is that the application is designed to minimize access to your LinkedIn profile, to any LinkedIn profile, if you are not currently logged into LinkedIn. There's no way around that. Let's look at the next question. Why is LinkedIn so incredibly intrusive? What if I don't want my ex-employer to know where I'm working now? Well, if you're going to use LinkedIn as a business tool, and you want to connect with people in context to the where you work today, and you want your target audience, your potential client, your potential customer, et cetera, to know where you work today, then you're going to have to put that on your LinkedIn profile and let the public see it. Now, could you go block that individual, that ex-employer, go to their profile, click on more and hit block? Yeah. Is it important? Does it really make any difference in the big scheme of things unless you're doing something inappropriate? My recommendation is for you to build your LinkedIn profile out in the way you want to build it out. And if there is an individual or groups of individuals that you don't want to see what you're doing, you're going to have to block them. And you can block, I think, upwards of 1,000 people. That's the only alternative that you have available. There's no way in the LinkedIn application for you to say, oh, please don't show my LinkedIn profile to people who work for company XYZ where I used to work because I don't want them to see it. I'm just saying, this is black and white. Use LinkedIn as a business tool. Don't concern yourself with people from your past. Just don't worry about them. Focus on your now and focus on your future. Here's the next question. Someone mentioned me in a comment and I don't know him. How can I remove myself from that comment? So it's right here. If you go look at your LinkedIn profile and you look at activity under notifications, you will be able to see where people used your name. Right here. Jeff Newville, some guy commented on a post where Jeff mentioned me. This is a post, not a comment. So let's break it up and do post first, and then I'll do comment. So I'm mentioned in this post. I can click on the 3 dots and I can remove the mention. Now, that's the post. What about in comments? So I come down here. Rick mentioned me in a comment. I can click on the 3 dots and I can remove the mention. Now, just FYI, it's going to still have your name in there. You can't stop people from typing your name, but it will remove the mention, which is the hyperlink to your LinkedIn profile. Now, by the way, for me, if someone mentioned me on content that's relevant to me, if someone mentioned me on content that is, maybe flattering for me or promoting me or showing me in a higher light, then by golly, I'm happy they mentioned me, even though I may not know them. That's my philosophy of using LinkedIn. So the answer is the 3 dots, remove mention, and you can remove it from a comment and from a post. Here's another one. Why do salespeople get so much wrong trying to use LinkedIn? Now, I queued this one up for me to answer it because I'm like, you know what? That's a real statement. A lot of people, not just salespeople, a lot of people get LinkedIn wrong. Maybe because they misperceive the purpose of LinkedIn. Maybe they're having people who are telling them, use LinkedIn in this way, even though the people who are coaching them on how to use LinkedIn don't understand how to really use LinkedIn. They don't understand that LinkedIn has lots of features built into it for you to use in different ways to achieve different results. They don't understand that LinkedIn introductions are not where you start a sales pitch. You don't generally start a sales pitch when you walk up to someone and say hello. However, there are people who do. Bottom line, there are a lot of people who are on LinkedIn who do not understand social networking. They do not understand branding. They do not understand reputation development. They don't understand social listening. And they don't understand the power of leading with give. They think that they can use LinkedIn the way they want to use it for cold calling and cold messaging and cold prospecting. And they hope and pray that the more that these people they touch inappropriately, the more likely they'll strike gold along the way. And maybe they will every now and then. But they miss out on the long-term potential of using LinkedIn as a networking tool, a human-to-human engagement tool. Bottom line, there are a lot of people who aren't taught how to use LinkedIn appropriately, and then they use it inappropriately. Here's the next one. Do you think that promoting or advertising through LinkedIn is currently the best option? Now, I queued this one up because I like this one as well, and here's my answer. No. I think promoting and advertising through LinkedIn, using the LinkedIn in-mails and using LinkedIn advertising, that has value. But I also know from my own experiences since 2008 that using LinkedIn to build my presence, a profile that very clearly tells the target audience who I am and what I do, focused on them, is a powerful way to use LinkedIn. Additionally, I know that connecting on LinkedIn in very meaningful ways, connecting with the people who are relevant to me and relevant to my business, and finding ways to get into conversations with those people is a powerful way to use LinkedIn. And thirdly, I know from personal experience that the more I engage on LinkedIn, the more I start relevant, useful, beneficial conversations, and the more I get into relevant and beneficial conversations, the more benefit I will get from LinkedIn. So using LinkedIn's ad programs to promote and market yourself can be beneficial. But if it's the only thing you're doing for your company, you're missing out on the power of building a presence, building a network, and building a brand, which I think are the three fundamental best practices of using LinkedIn as a business tool. Those are the questions that I have queued up for this series. I'm going to put the table of contents in the YouTube description so you can go to the specific question that you want to get the answer to. I hope you get value from this. And if you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button.